Welcome to Part A, an introduction to the chronology of humanity, prepared by Father and Son team, George and Dana Brown. Quote, "My tongue is the pen of a ready writer," unquote. Psalm 45, verse 1. The chronology of humanity. From zero, history records 6,000 years of history, and then we get into prophecy during the 7th and 8th day. It's the same as 3.5 millennial days from the 5 BC birth of Christ. First we have the first fruits. 6 sevens is 42 years. That's 1/24th, 1 hour of a 1,000-year day. Then comes the main harvest 1,000 years later for their 42-year hour. Again, 6 sevens of 42 years. And then 500 years after that, we have the latter harvest. Again, 6 sevens. So those are the 3 levels of saints. Now the tares are to be brought in as servants. History and prophecy focused on the Middle East provides a record and guide for all people. Okay, 8,000 years of history and prophecy began with Creation Week. 1 week, 7 24-hour days. Man was made in the image of God on the 6th day. Genesis 1:26 and 9 verse 6. 8,000 years of history and prophecy began with 0. And then for 7 millennial days plus an 8th day is history and prophecy. And we also have 3.5 days from the 5 BC birth of Jesus Christ. And these are 1,000-year days. Planet Earth, of course, was created with attributes of age. The flood came in 1655 to 1656 from creation. The Exodus from Egypt came in 2537 from creation. And the Babylonian captivity of the Jews came in 3525 to 3594 from creation. And now we have the 5 BC birth of Jesus Christ. And here we had Columbus reaches America in 1492. That was just a little while back. And blessings upon Manasseh, Ephraim, and the first fruits come as we enter the 7th millennial day. And the first fruits solemn assembly comes at 2017 to 2018 AD, spring to spring. This logo is divided into convenient 1,000-year segments, millennial days. The duration of each millennial day is also subdivided into 20 jubilees. 20 times 50 equals 1,000, for a grand total of 153 jubilees from the beginning unto the completion of the great regeneration. Therein, world dominion is transferred from under God's left to under God's right. In the process, a whole new world is to be established, wherein death, disease, oppression, and other afflictions no longer exist. This world of the future will be heaven on earth for the saints, and an eternal hell for the tares, the servants. Therefore, 8,000 years of history and prophecy, wherein each day is 1,000 years, comes out to a 7-day week plus an 8th day, or 3.5 days from the 5 BC birth of Christ. That's 1,500 years from the beginning of the 7th day, or the 3rd day, until the end of these wonders, the last of the saints. This is all from the 5 BC birth of Jesus. Okay, so we have a time and times and a half time from the 5 BC birth of Jesus to the end of these wonders. And then we have 150 years tacked on the end until the tares enter the kingdom as servants. This whole show lasts 153 jubilees from creation. That's 7,650 years. Okay, start off with Adam, then Enoch, next is Noah, and Shem, Abraham, Moses, David, Jeremiah, Jesus, Muhammad, Al-Darazi, Luther, first fruits, and then 1,000 years later you have the main harvest, and then 500 after that you have the latter harvest, and 150 years later you have the tares. Again, 8,000 years of history and prophecy. Day one, people were dispersed throughout the antediluvian, the pre-flood world. Day two, God's promise fulfilled with the great flood. And day three, Abraham's children reign and prosper. And day four, we have the beast receives his kingdom. Day 5, the Messiah and the 2 witnesses. Day 6, preparation day, humanity's double portion. Day 7, the focus of all history and prophecy, the Lord's Day. And day 8, you have the grand finale, regeneration completed. Now let's examine the benefits of understanding chronology. Abraham Lincoln explained, there are benefits indeed to understanding chronology. Abraham Lincoln stated, quote, if we could first know where we are and whether we are tending, we could better judge what to do and how to do it, unquote. Abraham Lincoln, Lincoln-Douglas debates, 16 June, 1858. Modern archaeologists and historians have been searching out and documenting humanity's past. What about the future? The ultimate scheme or plan. The ultimate scheme or plan. For more than 6,000 years, people have been forewarned to treat their fellow man right. Now, for 1650 years, humanity is undergoing a major transition from under God's left to under God's right. The final result will be a 4-tier ecosystem. Where an individual ends up will be based upon the individual's obedience conduct prior to entering the eternal kingdom. Those in the eternal kingdom will be free from death, diseases, and other afflictions. Where an individual ends up depends upon merit. Grace is for everyone. Salvation is the transition from under God's left to under God's right. So we have a destination here that we must navigate to, as Lincoln said. Know where you are to get, and know where you want to go to get where you want to go. Again, statesman and president, Abraham Lincoln's common sense advice has obvious meaning. Now remember, everyone is a navigator as such, even if it's just navigating from the living room to the kitchen and back, walking around furniture, or navigating to the local market. There, you know where to go, you do it every day, you take it for granted. You are navigating everywhere you go. Again, if we know where we are and what is pending, we can act accordingly. So today, amazing events are evolving. Zephaniah has an interesting proposition for everyone to concern. Quote, "The great day of the Lord is near. It is near and hasteth greatly. It began in the spring of 1996 AD. The mighty man shall cry there bitterly. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation for those not amongst the firstfruits. In that day of the Lord's wrath, the whole land, the land of the north, shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy." Zephaniah 1:14-18. Deuteronomy continues, quote, "To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. There the disobedience foot shall slide in due time. For the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste." Deuteronomy 32:35 and Isaiah 31, verse 2 and 3. Again, with knowledge we can better judge what to do and how to do it, to enter the eternal kingdom as saints and avoid evolving curses. Deuteronomy 28:1-14 speaks of blessings, whereas 28:15-68 speaks of curses. So Scripture says, "Come out of her, my people. Deliver thyself, that ye receive not of her plagues, to be manifested during days 7 and 8. Revelation 18:4, Jeremiah 51:6, Zechariah 2, verses 6 and 7, Deuteronomy 28 again, verse 1-14, and Deuteronomy 30, verses 1-3, and Isaiah 56, 1-8, and Isaiah 1, verse 15-20. Therefore, the logo defines and summarizes humanity's unique sojourn through history and prophecy. So consider the logo very, very carefully. Now, from zero, we have years from creation. There are 120 jubilees. They equal 6,000 years to the great turning point in the spring of 1996 AD. Then 1,500 years later, we reach the end of these wonders, and finally 150 years until the tares into the kingdom. But remember, the Lord's Day is the 7th day. It's also the 3rd day from the 5 BC birth of Jesus Christ. For people interested as they go through the chronology, we have recorded years in terms of years from creation throughout, except where otherwise noted. But we have conversion factors, 4,005 for BC years and 4,004 for AD years. And these are to be applied as shown in the diagram below. The man's double portion on the 6th day is very important. You can see progress, stepping stones of progress, you might call it. And notice that the billions of estimated world population just went through the ceiling. They went straight up in the last 300 years before the 7th day. Okay, so we have the years set forth in AD years. We have ancient history ended with 476 And from 476 to 1500, you have the Middle Ages, or medieval history. This is all high school history. Now you have the Renaissance, Europe's cultural revolution. It was a relatively short period of time of 300 years. And then you had the New World visited, colonized, and developed, beginning in 1492. So this went on while the Renaissance, Europe's cultural revolution, was going on. And then all of a sudden we went from the horse and buggy to space age progress from 1900 on, roughly. And here we have humanity's double portion came on the sixth day, Daniel 12:4, and Exodus 16:4 and 5. So God ended his work on the seventh day and sanctified the seventh day. He blessed it also. Genesis 2:2 and 3, and Exodus 20:8-11. So beware of those whom Satan has empowered to deceive people into disobeying God's fourth commandment, to keep the seventh day holy, Friday night sundown to Saturday night sundown. That's Ezekiel 14:9 and chapter 20, verse 24-26. There, one says they're going to give you false prophets, and the other says you're going to get phony laws. In Isaiah 66:4 says you get stumbling blocks waiting for the disobedient. And that's repeated in 2 Thessalonians 2:11.